Hey crafty friends, it's Hiedi Scott with DIY Dreaming. I hope you're having a wonderful day. On this video tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can take some little blocks of wood in different sizes and shapes from craft stores and some of these round wood balls and turn them into adorable little risers. Look at that. Is that cute or what? Here. And here's another example. So I have a bunch to show you. I'm going to show you how you do it. We're going to talk about feet. I'm going to tell you where to get all the supplies. And this is a pretty fun craft that is super affordable. So I think you're going to really like it. I'm just going to quickly put my links here. Okay, I think I did what I needed to do. So for this project, we're using Maker Studio supplies. And like I said, your project could start out with a little block of wood like this or like this. You can get these shapes, oval, circle, squares, at pretty much any craft store. Sometimes you can even find them at the Dollar Tree. And otherwise, you can always go to your local hardware store and have them cut a board. This is just pine. It was 12 by 6 foot when I bought it. And I just had them cut it to the size that I wanted. So we're not going to do that one today. Okay, so the very first step, and I'll show you some of these other things in just a minute, is to paint. Well, actually, I take that back. The very first thing that you need to do is you need to sand it. Because, especially these things that have a little bit of an edge on them, like this one did, and like this one did, it's like they cut them with a saw that isn't sharp. So I'm just using a piece of sandpaper that is 80 grit over the top of a sanding block. I don't have any special tools to do this, but you really don't need them. And you're just going to sand that wood, until you can get it smooth, okay? And remove all the stickers. And then you're gonna paint it. A creamy color. You don't have to do a fabulous job because when you do the next step, that will cover up any imperfections. So I'm using Biscuits and Gravy Rescue Restore Paint, this is a product that Maker Studio used to have. They don't carry it anymore, unfortunately, which is very sad for me because this was my all-time favorite color. But Maker Studio does have a new product, a new kind of paint. Sorry, I feel like I'm leaning. I don't know if that made it better or not. They do have a new kind of paint that's from the owner's other company, which is called Amy Howard at Home. And you can get little 4-ounce sizes of it. And I have been told that the color called Linen and the color called Bauhaus Buff, that those two colors are very similar to my beloved Biscuits and Gravy paint. Okay, so after I do 2 coats, and then the next thing you're gonna do, I've done 2 coats on this, is you're gonna sand it. You want to sand the edges so that when we put the stain on the next step, it can really soak in. And you just want it roughed up. You know, it doesn't have to be any specific, but you can see here on the edges of this one, I sanded it so when I put the stain on, it was able to go into the wood. So I should have done a little bit of this before I came live, but I wasn't thinking about that. Sometimes it's easier to just take it off the block. sander, then you'll be years ahead of me on this project. Okay, where have I not gotten this sign? I don't know what to call this technique. Basically, I mean, I have another kind of project that I do that I call secret sauce. This is not secret sauce, but it uses all the same materials, just instead of applying the paint, like in long wispy strokes, you're gonna do 2 coats and solidly cover the whole surface. So I'm going to get some of the dust off of it right now. Okay, let's talk about feet before we go on to the next step. So when you're using one of these little things, and you can get them every shape, and they're usually under $2. You can just go ahead and use some of these round balls that you can get at lots of different craft stores, or you could also use some larger size round wood beads. But if you don't have those options, then if you go to your local Lowe's or Home Depot, you can buy feet, although I think this is way too big for this scale. It would work with that larger tray. You can also make them. And this is called a ball knob. I'm trying to remember which one it was. A ball knob wood. It's from Hobby Lobby. In the wood pile section, and they have all different shapes. Some that have the flattened tops. I love these. These are great. These are like little egg dishes or candle holders. And you can either attach them to your surface this way, or you can flip them over and attach them this way. And you can do a combination. I'm gonna come close. These are some little wood pieces that are part of that whole collection at Hobby Lobby called Wood Pile. They're meant to be little wheels for trains and cars and things that you would build out of wood, okay? So I like to combine them with this, and it looks great as a stand. So there's tons of different options for what you can do. All right, and oh, and my favorite, I have it out. Oh, my favorite is right here. I'll show you. My favorite option, and also the most expensive. I don't want to do a riser that I have $2 into and then spend $20 on legs. That doesn't make any sense to me. Unless it's gonna be something really special. And this is like something I made 2 years ago using the biscuits and gravy paint and the same hazel mahogany gel stain that we're gonna be doing in just a minute. And these legs are the cutest shape. Oh my goodness. But they're like $3 or $3.50 a piece. They're from Hobby Lobby, and these are actually curtain finials. So I just attached them to the underneath of my piece of wood, and then I put one of those little soft pads on the bottom. And this is, oh my gosh, this is one of my favorite things that I've made. So other than the $12 or $15 on feet, the board itself was probably under $2. Okay. Ooh, I've got a lot of dust everywhere. So then let's talk about attaching your feet. I do not recommend that you use hot or low temperature hot glue, because I have not found it to be very sturdy or stable. Instead, I recommend that you use one of these powerhouse glues like E6000 or Gorilla Glue. I know there's a lot of different ones that you can get that are gonna hold solidly forever. So you wouldn't put a casserole dish on this and then suddenly have one leg come off and have it all spill all over your table. So use a good adhesive to put your legs on, and then give them enough time to dry. So that's what I did with this. Before I came live, I attached my little balls and I painted the whole surface, okay? And I just was working on sanding it, and I think I did fine. Okay, so let's go on to the next step. Get some of this stuff out of the way. Which is the staining process. And the stain that I'm using is also from Maker Studio, and it's also my favorite stain. And it has a yummy citrusy scent to it. So it's not stinky like a lot of other stains are. This is called Hazel Mahogany. It's an awesome color. You can vary the intensity by watering it down just a little bit or a lot before you use it. And so I did pin a link to that Bauhaus Buff and the linen colored paint and this down below. So I have some of it mixed up in a little teeny mason jar, and it's diluted about 1 part of stain to 1 part of water, or maybe 2 parts water, 1 part stain. And I'm just using a foam brush to apply it. And we're just, I think you guys can see, but if you can't, if the comments are in your way, you should be able to swipe them either up or down. I just really feel like I'm leaning. Do you guys feel like that? Or is that just me? Up or down or side to side, and they should disappear. That seems a little better. Okay, and so we're just gonna apply a quick coat of our stain. You don't want to get this on your clothes, but your hands are fine. It comes right off, and it smells really pleasant. Okay, so I'm gonna do, when I'm all finished here, I will do the underneath of this nice, because I like my projects to have a good underneath too, especially if I'm planning to give them away. And I am going to include some of these small ones that I've just made recently in my blessing boxes that I'm getting ready for you guys. So I'm just trying to roughly cover these little balls. Okay, and then I'm just gonna take a paper towel and you just rub it off. I mean, this could not be, it seriously could not be easier. If you find that you've put it on, you know what, let's just go ahead and do the underneath while we're here. That you've put it on too dark and you don't like how dark the stain is, you can get a wet paper towel and you can just rub it, and some of the stain will come off and will lighten it up. I almost always dilute this though, because I like that look better than a dark, dark brown. So, okay. So this is what we have right here. Come close. And you can see where I sanded it. That is where the stain really absorbs. And what I like is how this looks on the top. I think I may come back and put just a smidge more right here. And how you take it off can, so I put a little bit more on the top. And if you just pull it off with your paper towel or a wipe, if that's what you're working with, you can actually create some, they're called striations, but streaks or lines. And I just did that. So can you see how it looks almost like it has a grain that's poking through that paint? What do you guys think about this project so far? Do you like it? I haven't done wood projects in a while. When I very first started with Maker Studio, it was about 3 years ago, and I did wood projects all the time. And right now, I feel like I'm in a fabric phase where I'm doing a lot of fabric projects and I'm really enjoying those. So I'm going to try to remind myself to come back and do some wood projects every now and again. Okay, I'm just getting this off my hands. Okay, so we have our little piece, and I am going to plug in my heat gun for just a second so I can get that top completely dry, and then we'll move on to the next step. Yeah, I have other stuff to show you. I have a lot of projects going right now. You could use a blow dryer for this step too, or you could just let it dry. I mean, I find that after you wipe it off with your paper towel, it is pretty dry. Okay, the next step before we stencil, this is wood that's been painted. If I had left it raw or painted or stained it, I have found that you will get a much better stencil impression if you use either a clear matte sealer over your wood where you're going to stencil before you stencil, or if you use a clear wax, and it can be any brand. This is what I have from Amy Howard at Home, so I'm using what I have on hand. And since I can't spray that in here, you have to do that outside. I'm just going to get a paper towel, and we are going to put a little bit of wax on the top of this. So does anyone have questions? Is this, can you guys see what this is? It's that little bird. I'm going to put this one in one of my blessing boxes, and then I'm either going to do this one or this one in one of the blessing boxes. I'm tempted to keep them both, but I have enough projects that I've done floating around here. I want to bless someone else with them. So I just put a little bit of wax on here. And I'm only really putting it on the top where I'm going to put my stencil. So I just put some on and I'm just buffing it off. Okay, and when you're working with wax, you don't need to let it dry thoroughly before you do a stencil. I never do. I mean, maybe the instructions say that you should, but I never do. Okay, so we are using this set that I am completely obsessed with. It's called Welcome Spring. I'll show you some of the pieces. It's so cute. This is what the top of the stencil looks like. We made placemats with this where we changed out that center flower. Here's another piece of it that says Flower Market. Here's a darling piece of flowers that I put on some of the note cards that we made yesterday. Here's another awesome flower that I put on this. It's great. And then the bird is actually having a bath because I just used it. I'm working on some trucker hats. They're super cute too. Oh my gosh. So, and so there's the bird. And then the pièce de résistance, the best part of that whole stencil is this absolutely adorable bicycle. So it's called Welcome Spring, and I pinned a link down here. It's got so many great pieces to it. So that is what we're using. And we're using this little flower that looks like this. Because this is a little space. There's not much room here. So I have labeled the back of it. These gray stencils do not need to be fuzzed before you use them. I'm just eyeballing it to see what I think would be a good placement. Okay, and then because this has sort of a brown tone to it, can you see that? I'm using brown Maker Studio Gel Art ink. I used brown for this and this. And the Gel Art inks work great. Great, great, great on wood projects. They work great on paper projects. They work great on a lot of different things. I need a spreader. Let's see. Just get a little one because we don't need a big one for this. So this brown is called Well I Swingy, I think is how you say that. That's a Southern expression. This is what it looks like. I just call it brown. And I'm just going to squeeze a little bit onto my little spreader that I've cut up. And we're just going to push it through the holes on our stencil. And I'm pulling off any big globs that I have on here. And let's take a peek and see if we missed any points or anything. Oh, this is cute. I know I always say that. You guys tease me for that. It's so cute. Oh, it's adorable. So I just threw my stencil in a little bath, and look how cute that is. And how cute that would be. Where did I put the other ones? With like a little display. You could set a candle on them, but I think they're cute just to sit on a table or something. This little square here probably cost $1.29 or something. And the little round balls were nothing. This little oval shape might have cost maybe $2 at the most. And this little round one with our bird, it was probably $2.25 or something. So this is a super affordable project. So I'm gonna let this dry completely. And then I'm going to probably give it a little spray outside, 1 or 2 coats of a clear matte sealer, just in case somebody, I don't know, would put something wet on here. But otherwise, this gel ink is completely stable. And you could use chalk paste if you wanted, but I love the gel art ink that Maker Studio has. Much, much better. So I would definitely recommend this over a jar of chalk paste. They call theirs chalk art. If you're looking at the Maker Studio brand, I like their gel art ink better. I think it's more versatile. So that is what that turned out like. Now I want to show you a couple of other projects that I have going, or I have them gone. I've already done them. Okay, so I showed you this one with the curtain finial legs. This was the same process. I painted it and then I sanded it, and you notice I sanded the top of it a little bit heavier so you get these streaks, and then I applied the hazel mahogany gel stain on it. So it's the same technique exactly. This was just a 2x4 that I had hanging out. It wasn't doing anything and I wanted to experiment. It's got the same kind of little round feet on it that I just stained just lightly. I didn't paint them. And what I did with this is I painted it with the biscuits and gravy, so you could use the Bauhaus buff or the linen color. And then I sanded the edges, and I did the exact same thing with the hazel mahogany gel stain, and then when it was dry, I used the French script that Maker Studio has, and I stenciled it with that dark brown gel art ink. And these look so cute, like in a, I mean, you can do just the cutest little display. Like, can you guys see what I'm talking about? Okay, I have 2 more pieces to show you. This was a one of those little cutting boards that I purchased. Whoops, our lamb is upside down. And it's the same process, painted with that creamy color paint, edges sanded, and then I used the it's almost like a wash of the hazel mahogany gel stain. And then I stenciled this little sheep on one side. It's a stencil that Maker Studio has, and I put links down here. And then on this side, I used the Paris, or what is it called? French words or Paris words on it, same deal. Isn't that cute? Now, I wouldn't use this as an actual cutting board. This is decorative. So this could look super cute in an arrangement too. And then I have one more to show you. This puppy I made, oh my gosh. I made this at least 2 years ago. And same exact technique. This is a round that you can buy at Home Depot. It's in the lumber department. They have this size, they have a smaller one, and then they have a bigger one. And this size is around, whoops, maybe $8, $7 or $8, okay? Then I painted it. Then I sanded it. Can you see the edges? I mean, this is so easy. I use this technique all the time. So I sanded it, then I stained it with hazel mahogany gel stain. Then I used this There Is a Season for Everything stencil. And I believe this was the dark brown gel art ink. Then I drilled some holes. I got brave and used my husband's drill. And I drilled some holes and I applied these super inexpensive little handles that were like $1.25 each. You can get them at Lowe's and Home Depot. And then I bought this mechanism that is a Lazy Susan mechanism. So your little piece can, and I just attached it and put some cork on the bottom. This whole project, I made a bunch of these 2 years ago at Christmas, and I gave them to everyone to neighbors and everyone I love in slightly different stencils. But it's all in all, it's probably around $12 for this whole project. So that is pretty much what I wanted to show you today, how you can take a piece of wood, paint it, sand it, stain it, apply something on it, a wax or a sealer, and then stencil it, and you can come out with something completely wonderful that I don't think somebody would see this and say, wow, that looks cheap. They'd say, oh my gosh, Heidi, that's so cute. At least that's what I would say, because it really is so cute. So that is what I wanted to show you. I'm gonna just move this up. If you guys want to screenshot any of these projects, make sure that you can see them. And I do have another project to come live with you about that I'm working on, and they are these ball caps that have these attached little pieces of a canvas that have something stenciled that's meaningful on them. So I don't know if we'll do this whole project today because I want to experiment with that a little bit, but I do have another thing to go live with you. So if you want to see that, you want to see what I have coming up, those hats or any of the other bazillion projects that I have coming up, take 2 seconds right now to look and see if you have liked and followed DIY Dreaming, and to check your notifications to see if you're getting alerted that I'm going live. And then do a this or a this, that's a heart, or say something in the comments, and you will have just improved your odds of getting what I send, what the content that I make here through Facebook a million times. Otherwise, it's completely hit or miss, and almost every day I have somebody say, oh my gosh, I thought you quit doing this. I haven't seen you in so long. Like, nope, I'm still going live just about every single day. It's just for some reason, people aren't seeing what I'm doing. So I'm gonna let you have 2 seconds to do that. If you have friends that like to do these kind of projects, or any of the other projects that I do here at DIY Dreaming, feel free to sprinkle or tag a friend if you would like. If you have questions, tell me in the comments. If you want a specific link to something so you don't have to look around, let me know that too. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna let this run for just 30 seconds or something so you can do all that good stuff, and then I will say goodbye. Oh, and also, I didn't notice, but wow, thank you guys for the stars. That just continues to bless me so much when you guys do that. I appreciate it. Okie dokie. Thanks for watching. I will see you guys later.